In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to find the circumference of a circle using the formula. Prior knowledge should be very aware of the difference between radius and diameter of a circle. So in a previous video, I did this diagram here. So this is just to remind you what the word circumference meant. Circumference is the distance around the outside of a circle or a circular object. So it would be the length of ribbon going around your birthday cake. It would be the distance of string around the outside of anything circular. It's just a fancy word for perimeter of a circle, basically. And to be able to do it, you need to know the difference between radius and diameter. Radius is half your diameter, diameter is double your radius, okay? So if I was in class, this is what we would be doing as a little experiment. I would pass down lots of circular objects and lots of paper measuring tapes and get you to measure the diameter of the shape and the circumference of the shape. And then what I would do is ask you to look for some kind of connection just from your answers on the table. And some people might spot, well, the circumference is roughly 3 times your diameter. Because let's have a little look. If you do 3 times 7.5, you get 21.5, not far off. If you do 3 times 23, you get 69, that's nearly 72. 3 11s are 33, not bad. So I would hopefully then say, all right, yeah, you're right, the connection is, it's roughly 3 times bigger. And then I would ask you, for each number, I would say, right, go and get your calculator, and I would say, take your circumference and divide it by your diameter. So I would say, do your circumference divided by the diameter. And if you do that for each shape, so for the first one, 23 divided by 7.5 gives you 3.06. 72 divided by 23 gives you 3.13. 34.5 divided by 11 is 3.136. So these are all getting a wee bit closer, aren't they? And then the last one, if you divide them, gives you this. So I'm getting really close to this number of 3.13, 3.14, 3.15 when I do circumference divided by diameter. Now the reason they're all slightly different is there is a marginal scope for error whenever you're measuring items. If I'm a millimetre out, then it'll completely change my answer on this. So what's actually been found is there is an actual mathematical connection if these are measured exactly. My measurements here with my measurement tape, I might not have got the diameter spot on, okay? So on my next slide, let's have a look. They discovered that the actual mathematical answer you get when you do circumference divided by diameter is this big long number here, and it keeps going and going and going and going. Now, you might have heard of this number before. It's actually known as pi. And pi is written with a little symbol like this. It's 2 lines with a wavy line over the top, or maybe 2 lines with a straight line. So that is pi. This is a number that is dealt with all the time to do with circles. Now we are going to shorten pi to 3.14. There is a pi button on your calculator, but you'll probably use that in the future when you're doing National 5. Right now, to make life easier, we're always going to shorten pi to 2 decimal places, which is 3.14. So on that previous slide, I was getting us to do the circumference divided by the diameter, and that gave us pi. So in reverse, we are now given this formula here to work out what our circumference is, given only the diameter. So our formula is C equals pi d. And as I said, we're going to take pi as 3.14. And this is a formula we're going to be using. And remember, circumference is that distance around the outside of a shape. If you're putting a measuring tape around your tub of celebrations, that is what your circumference is. The distance travelled by your bike going 1 circulation of your tyre on the road. Okay, that is what circumference is. So this is a formula we're going to use. So for each one, you just need to be 100% sure what the diameter of your circle is. Remember, diameter is the full width of the circle, right through the centre from side to side. So let's look at some examples. So question 1, we've got this pink circle. We're going to start by writing the formula. So C equals pi d. We replace pi with 3.14. Because the 2 letters are stuck together, remember that means times in, and then that song that I just sung is pi times diameter. So the diameter is the full width of the circle, which we've been given, which is 6. Now this could be on calculator and you'd have to go set down a wee sum, but we do have a calculator today. And if you type that in, you get 18.84. Now I think for the sake of my worksheet that I've done everything to 1 decimal place today. So we're going to round that as 18.84. So that goes to 18.8 centimetres. And as usual, I'm going to write 1 decimal place because it's not exactly 18.8 centimetres. So just to show that I've rounded it, I write 1 dp in brackets. Same with this second one. So if you've ever bought a bike or heard your parents talk about the size of your bike, the size of your bike goes by the wheel size. So you'd go out and say you're buying an 18-inch bike, which means the wheel size, not the actual frame size. So 18-inch wheel is what my child has just now, actually, so it's not very big. So 18 inches, don't be put off that it's inches, but 18 inches would be the full diameter of the wheel from top to bottom of the inner bit. So the diameter, the circumference of this technically would be the circumference of the bit where your inner tube goes. So the circumference of this is not the outside, it's going to be the circumference of this wee bit on the inside, but for the sake of this it doesn't really matter. 18 is the diameter, so that's pi times diameter, so c equals pi d. Change pi to 3.14 and change the diameter to 18. Type that into your calculator and it gives you 56.52. That 2 is not going to do anything in rounding, so it stays as 56.5. Now this time it would be inches, so we'll just write inches for our units, and that is to 1 decimal place. Okay, so these two have been straightforward where I have given you the diameter. Question 3 and 4, you'll notice I've not given you the diameter of my two items. I've given you from the centre to the outside, so like the spoke in a wheel, so I've only given you the radius. So the first thing I'm going to do is write down what my diameter is. So if my radius is 15, your diameter is double that, so I'm going to use a diameter of 30 for this one. On question 4, the radius of that cake tin is 7, because it only goes from the centre to the outside. So the diameter would be double 7, which is 14. So the formula C equals pi d. Replace each thing, so replace pi with 3.14, your diameter with 30. Type that into your calculator and you will get 94.2. Now that comes out as exactly 94.2, so there's no need to round for that one. So it's 94.2 centimetres. On the second one, you've got pi d again. Pi gets replaced with 3.14. We've already said our diameter is 14, not the 7. And if you put that into your calculator, you will get 43.96. Now, to 1 decimal place, so 43.96. That 6 will make the 9 go up, which will then make the 3 go up. So technically my answer here would be 44.0 centimetres to 1 decimal place. So because I've asked for 1 decimal place, I'm putting a 0 on there. If I didn't put the 0 there and just said it was 44, technically that's me giving it the nearest whole number and not 1 decimal place. Okay, so remember when we taught significant figures, we said you're putting that 0 on for a reason, and the reason here is because the question asked for 1 decimal place. So that's the end of my 4 examples. That's all you have to do. You just have to be careful that you're always conscious of using the diameter each time. Don't just jump in and use whichever number they've given you. Double check in your mind that you have the diameter, the full width of the circle. So as usual, this is a place you would pause the video and try some of these. I would want you to get each of these circumferences to 1 decimal place today. You'll notice the top row, I've always given the diameter. The bottom row, I've always given you the middle row, I've always given you the radius, and the bottom row is a bit of a mixture. So it's kind of staggered. So again, just be sure you're doing 3.14 times the diameter, not the radius. And then unpause the video and you will find the answers. And that is the answers there to 1 decimal place for the circumference of each of these circles. Thank you very much.